And we are live here on the Blue Bloods Coaches Corner edition. Myself, my guy, Coach Frederick, man, getting ready for our HBCU game of the week this week, Coach. I think it's the first time this year you guys have been the game of the week, man. But a huge matchup with Southern that, I mean, is probably, in my opinion at least, and a lot of other people's opinion, is going to determine who comes out the West this year, man. But Coach, how you feeling today?
Feeling good, man. Actually, a little warmer than it started. Like we talked about, this week here on campus has been absolutely crazy weather-wise. Waking up to 30-degree weather in Mississippi is, I mean, that should be outlawed. But that's what we had to do this week, and we'll be ready for 80-degree kickoff. So hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I know man, it was so cold Halloween night down here in Mobile. Like it was freezing down here. And I was like, man, it must be freezing up in like North Alabama, like more North Mississippi, but apparently it's supposed to heat back up, man. So I know it's aggravating as coaches have to kind of adjust to that. But man, obviously the big storyline is y'all's game, man. But coach, looking across the FCS, looking across FCS football, HBCU football as well. What are some of the bigger storylines that you're looking at going into Week 10?
One game that we'll talk about going on up in the Dakotas. I will be interesting to see how one team responds and how the other team continues to, I guess, put their stamp on things. And then, my guys from Potato Country to see if they can avoid the letdown after a big win last week. Is going to be, that's a big story to me as well. And then, how does he say it? Behold the green and gold. If they can pull out a shocker, which everybody seemed to have thought a couple weeks ago, but after their debacle last week, it'd be interesting to see if Norfolk can get up off the mat and make this one interesting with NCCU. So, a couple things, across the line, and then a big one at Tennessee State. They got some stuff to continue to keep going and see how it goes. So those are my big storylines, but the biggest one, like you said, will be right here in Lorman, Mississippi. And so, be one of those things, man, to kind of see what's going on.
Are you guys bringing in the extra bleachers in the end zone for this weekend?
No, man, we're going to give it a home field, man. Let's pack the hills, both sides, see what's going on with it. See how filled we can get this thing.
I love it. I love that approach, man. Listen, I'm telling you guys, I understand the Montanas, the Jacksons, all these places get the hype. If you have not if you have not treated yourself to a game in Lorman, Mississippi yet, I promise you're gonna want to go to a big game, man. I'm telling you, it's one of the top environments in the FCS, man. If you were there for that Soul Bowl last season, you know what I'm talking about. That environment was electric. I mean, there was more people stuffed on that sideline than the fire marshals probably would have liked, because we could not even move as media down there, coach. It was so hard to get video because you were shoulder to shoulder down there. But
he was
looking
so he couldn't come shut it down.
Oh man, it was crazy. But man, coach, looking across the FCS, I think the SoCon this week, that Chattanooga Furman game, the winner clinches the SoCon this year. So it's going to be interesting. Listen, Chattanooga, 3-game win streak. Furman, coach, 12 consecutive conference wins, have the most SoCon titles in conference history, looking for the 15th conference title. That's going to be a big one on the road. Chattanooga is a tough place to go play, man. They win a lot at home. They kind of have that different type of energy. I got a feeling that game up in Chattanooga is going to be crazy. And then looking at the HBCU, coach, listen, I understand this is going to sound crazy given what me and you watched on Thursday night. Buddy Pugh and South Carolina State always catch someone sleeping at home. And Howard goes in there, the big matchup with NCCU next week. Are they looking past South Carolina State? Buddy Pugh is now the interim AD, or possibly, I don't know what all happened. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But listen, South Carolina State, if you go into Orangeburg and you have a big game, or you're an undefeated team, or you're one of the favorites in the conference, you're always on upset alert. Coach, I'm going to be watching that game closely because I said it last night on HBCU Nightly. I would not be surprised if South Carolina State, that was the game they caught someone slipping.
Man, I want to believe it. I want to follow you, but after that showing, man, I just don't know. But then again, we don't know how much that was the, NCCU versus them, or how much was that actually them not just being a really good team. So one of the others going to show up. I'm just not ready to sell out fully that they're going to catch them sleeping. I'm not ready to sell out on that just yet.
Listen, I don't know how I feel. And then also, Coach, the CAA, we know what the conference race looks like right now, but you have Elon, Delaware, you have Villanova, New Hampshire, you have William and Mary, Albany. It's a big weekend. It's moving weekend in the CAA. So I think that conference is one that I know a lot of people don't have Flow Sports. You might just want to get a free trial for this weekend, because there's going to be some big games over on Flow Sports this weekend, because I'm interested, Coach, because depending on how some of these games go, really depends on how many maybe at-large bids this conference gets. I think Delaware locks up the conference, if I'm not mistaken, with a win over Elon this weekend. But Albany, William and Mary, Villanova, New Hampshire, Campbell's on the road at North Carolina, but they're probably going to have to win out to possibly even be in the conversation. But I think they're pretty much eliminated. There's a lot of moving pieces here, so I think the CAA is an interesting place to look this weekend.
Villanova has an opportunity to put a big stamp out there and say, hey, we're here. We're not playing around. So that's going to, like I said, that'll be interesting to see how Villanova attacks this game, man. And then, that whole conference, Delaware can just, distance themselves, their situation as well. So, it'd be interesting to see what Elon team shows up. So you're right about that in that situation.
Yeah, and then, like you said, the obvious one is just the SWAC West. I mean, that's going to be the big storyline for the next 3 weeks. I mean, the clinching, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, the way teams can clinch is Alcorn wins this weekend, and then Southern loses one more game.
Yes.
Would be the way that works, and Alcorn would clinch. Grambling, if they lose again, they're completely out. And if I'm not mistaken, if you guys win the next 2 games, they're out regardless.
That's another storyline. Miles going back to Bama State. The defensive coordinator at Grambling going back to Bama State. Those are pretty. Let the gentleman from the school.
Shout out to Kev, man.
So that Bama State game is going to be big as well. And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, if Grambling drops that, they're completely in that situation. And then in our situation, like you said, we win Saturday and just hold it in the middle of the road, regardless of what Southern does. We finish it in Jackson, but we like to finish it before Jackson. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks, man, how that goes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that game this weekend. But Coach, looking just across the FCS too, I thought this would be a fun topic to do, because I did it on the NCAA show. I'm kind of springing this on you, man, because I got it sprung on me yesterday. I want to see how you're going to approach it, and we'll exclude Alcorn for the sake of this one, man. We'll go national, and we'll probably exclude the SWAC in this one. But Coach, real quick, I want to do a fantasy draft with you for FCS, because I got this sprung on me yesterday, and I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was interesting, and I think I still had the best team over Stan yesterday. He said he's going to drop it in a few days on social media, so we'll see, Coach. But Coach, I'll give you the first pick, and we'll do it snake style. If you get to pick any quarterback in the FCS, man, who are you taking for an all-star team?
Oh, I'm going Idaho.
that man Giovanni. I had a feeling, man. I'm gonna keep my pick the same, Coach. I had the first pick yesterday. I went Gronowski at South Dakota State. I just like a winner, man. Give me a winner, and if I get to pick the best wide receivers in the country to surround them with, I feel real good about my pick on that one. And for running back, Coach, I didn't get the first pick yesterday, but I still got my guy. I went with Jaden Sheridan for Monmouth, man. leading the country in rushing again this year. I would have went Desmond Reed, but right now, man, I don't know if he's healthy. Healthy, I think Desmond's the obvious number one pick, but I'm gonna take Jaden Sheridan right now, Coach, just because I don't know if Desmond's healthy right this second.
Well, that's the outlier for me, because when you said that, the first name popped was him.
Yep.
So if we're saying he's healthy, I'm definitely taking him. My guy from Idaho, my first two picks right there.
I like it. And wide receiver, Coach, I'm going to make you mad at this one because this was my first pick at wide receiver yesterday. Give me that bad man, number 13, that plays at Mercer. Give me Ty James, and you can have the rest of the country, man. Just give me 13, and my strategy is going to be give it to 13 every play.
And that would have been mine, but because you picked him as well, I'll stay away from that. And I'm going to go, man. Ty's doing it, man. But, it's my team, my offense. I'm taking that young man from Alabama State. I'm going to put him out there. And don't be surprised if you see him in the slot, you see him out wide, you see him in the backfield. We're going to get our money's worth with that young man from Alabama State out there.
I like it, Coach. You get two wide receivers, man. So since it's Snake, you get to pick number 2 as well.
I'm going to take him and my last week's winner. Where is he? I'm trying to get to his numbers.
Deshaun?
I'm going to take him.
I like it.
Deshaun.
I like it, Coach. You're gonna listen. I'm gonna steal your man. I thought you were gonna partner up with Giovanni, man. Give me that guy Hayden Hatton out there at Idaho. I like him and Ty out there on the outside. I would love to have them. And Coach, we'll just do offensive line unit for the sake of time because we can't go left guard, right tackle. I'm gonna go ahead and take. I'm sticking with my pick from yesterday. Give me Montana State's offensive line. Rolling with that group all the time.
Whoa, you threw me right there. I thought for sure you were going to go South Dakota State.
I'll give you them. The reason I would go Montana State, Coach, I do think the starting 5 is probably better for South Dakota State, but I feel like Montana State's offensive line is deeper because they have that rotation going. Give me depth all the time on the offensive line. So, Coach, man, just real quick, we did 3 defensive players yesterday, man. We'll just pick one defensive player. If you got to pick one defensive player to lead your defense, who you got?
Man, so many. But you know what, man? I'm gonna take this dark horse just because. I'm gonna go Terrence Ellis. He's gonna line me. He's gonna get me set in the front. He's gonna get me set in the back. He's gonna be sideline to sideline. He's a kid that was right at 100 tackles last year. He's leading us this year. Very smart, football IQ. He can play the mic, the Sam, or the Will. So, I got to go with my man T. Ellis.
I like it, man. I'm gonna keep my first defensive pick the same. Terrell Allen. Keep it there. Give me an edge rusher if I got one, and I think Terrell Allen right now is playing the best football in the country right this second. But man, let's move on, Coach. Super dog picks. I got to go back. I haven't had a chance to go look at how we did. I know my Fordham hit pick, and I believe your Hampton pick hit as well. So we both did really well last week. But Coach, man, what are your super dog picks for this week?
Man, this is gonna sound crazy, and you give me the numbers, but I'm gonna take Delaware. No, I'm taking Delaware State numbers over Morgan there.
15.5.
And the under.
Ooh. 47.
Yes.
So both of those.
Yes.
I'm with you. Because it's tough. Like, if you can't score, it's tough to cover that's 2 touchdowns. And 15.5 is like right there at the scoring average for Morgan. So to cover that would be impressive. So I'm with you, Coach. My first one, I like Texas Southern plus 21 against Jackson.
I just didn't think that was real.
Yeah, it was. I like that one. Listen, I don't think Texas Southern is going to win just because I don't know where that team's head's at after last week. That's a tough one to over. That's a tough loss to deal with. But listen, the way they run the ball, as inconsistent as Jackson has been defending the run, man, I think Texas Southern is going to try to shorten up the game. And I just think they're going to keep it way closer than 3 touchdowns. And Jackson, outside of what UAPB, has not beaten anybody by 3 touchdowns. So I'm taking Texas Southern plus 21 against Jackson this weekend.
I do that. I do that. I just didn't think that 21 was real, man, because it was just like, how did you come up with that number? And I know they know a lot more than I do in Vegas, but I'm just like, how did you come up with that number? Because, like you said, they hadn't just steamrolled anybody, So I go with that. I'm writing it down too.
Yeah, I got mine written down. I also like, Coach, I know we throw out other options. My second choice was William and Mary plus 8 against UAlbany. I just think that's going to be a defensive, what do they call it? A slobber knocker. I mean, it's going to be ugly in that game offensively. I think both these defenses are going to really hold down both offenses. And so I think William and Mary plus 8 is good. I think that's going to be a 1 possession game for sure.
Okay. I got to give you one more since you gave 2. Where is it? I don't think they're going to win, but I think they will cover. And I'm saying, behold, the green and gold. I think Norfolk does enough to cover that, but they don't win, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 16.5. That's a big that's a big margin. And let's be honest, Coach. I mean, Norfolk State's been kind of competing this year in most. I mean, they were a possession away from knocking off Morgan last week. Now it's a big jump to beat Central, especially on homecoming. I'm with you. I don't think that's an upset potential game, but I do think that's a big point spread. So I like that one. I got that one written down for you too, man. So I got Texas Southern plus 21, William and Mary plus 8. Coach going with the Behold to cover their spread against Central, man, on that one. But man, Coach, I like it. Let's get to our game of the week, man. I was really torn on which game wanted to be our game of the week, Coach. Montana State, Sac State's up there. You guys have your game, but I went with the rivalry just because, man, you got to pick one of the biggest rivalries at FCS football, which is the Dakota Marker game, man. We got number 1 South Dakota, Coach, hosting number 11 North Dakota State. The Jacks have a 4-game winning streak over the Bison right now, Coach. Man, can the Bison find a way to pull off the upset over the Jacks and Brookings?
If we had did this maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks for sure, I would be all about it, just because I'm saying that the program history, all that stuff plays into it. But I think you catch MG and his offense rolling at the peak of, the season. The defense is starting to fine tune it. And then you look at NDSU, I think they have some questions offensively when people shut the run down. What do they go to next? Who do they go to? Who can be consistent enough for them to be able to offset someone putting 8-9 in the box to stop their run game? I just don't think they have enough. And they're catching a team at the time of the season when they're trying to make a statement. And this is going to be one of those ones where I think if they can really make a statement, like you said, make sure every light in the scoreboard works, they're going to do it, because they want to send this message not only to them, but everybody else that follows.
I'm kind of with you. I'll say this. I do think it may be upset alert if this was in the Fargo Dome, but it's going to be tough. Brookings is going to be an electric environment this weekend for this game. I mean, it's going to be tough to go in there and win right now with how that fan base is feeling. And Coach, if South Dakota State wins this game, it will tie the longest streak in this rivalry's history for the Jacks at 5, which came back in like 1910. North Dakota State's won like 13 or 14 in a row. The Jacks have never won more than 5 in a row. So this will tie a record in that rivalry. But Coach, I'm kind of with you on this one. I will say Cam Miller has been playing efficient ball, back-to-back 200-yard games through the air. I want to say he's on track to set the season record for completion percentage in the conference right now. He's been rolling. I like Zach Mathis at wide receiver. Coach, we talked a few weeks ago, and I said there hasn't been anyone that has really established themselves as an outside threat. Well, Zach Mathis is kind of rolling over 500 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. But the problem is the run defense has been so inconsistent for me. They've had moments where they've suffocated opposing rushing attacks, but then 200-plus yards allowed against North Dakota. Couldn't get off the field against South Dakota. Could not get off the field against Central Arkansas and allow Shandarick Powell to do everything he wanted. Now, they won that Central Arkansas game, but there's kind of a trend here. They go against elite rushing attacks. They struggle to slow down the run, and that's a recipe for a disaster because if you allow South Dakota State to get what they want offensively, you're not winning this football game, especially with how Gronowski's been playing, working off the play action, working off those loaded boxes. You're going to be in trouble. Isaiah Davis, Amar Johnson have both been dynamic. And then, Coach, on the flip side, the number 1 defense in the country and total defense and scoring defense is on the other side of that ball. If North Dakota State's offensive line is not ready, they're going to get dominated. They have to win the line of scrimmage battle, and that's something that I haven't seen them consistently do against good teams.
And that's the thing also when you throw that in the mix, what part of SDST game are they going to try to take away? Sell out on the run, that's fine. And then the Yankees, MG, those guys get going. So, that'll be interesting to see which one they try to take away, and can they take it away enough to make, South Dakota State one-dimensional. And I think they're good enough to be one-dimensional, but making them one-dimensional gives you an opportunity. You can't let them have both. And if the trend, like you just said, continues, this one here could be one of those situations where they try to make a statement out of this game and out of NDSU.
I forgot to mention, too, this is a good point, Dave. Will Mostert, all-conference, I want to say all-American defensive lineman for North Dakota State out for the year before this game. So that's a huge loss for an already not very deep defensive line. Coach, the Bison have done well against the pass. I want to say they're allowing about like 166 yards per game. They've taken away the pass, more picks and touchdowns allowed, but South Dakota State is an air raid attack. They're going to try.
You have to pass.
Exactly. It's just Coach, we know this. College football is about matchups.
Yes.
When you look at this matchup position by position, it's a bad matchup for North Dakota State. And I think a lot of people are cautious to pick a blowout or a big win because it's a rivalry, because of the brand that the Bison are. But on paper, and games are never played on paper, this game has the makings to not even be close.
Can be like I said, situation where they decide to see if every light in the scoreboard works. If you've got to cut them off. You can't let them have but the best of both worlds. You can't let them run it when they want to run it, and you can't let them get the play action when they want to get it. You've got to commit to stopping one. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see which one, because like you said, the secondaries played well. But how do you force them to have to do that? What's going to be the method to do that? And I just don't know, like you just said there with the injury, I don't know if they have enough pieces or if they're deep enough to continuously pack the box with 8 or 9 and make them have to throw the football.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing, man, because North Dakota State, like I said, have struggled to win the line of scrimmage against elite competition. And I just think the offensive balance for South Dakota State, along with Gronowski, is not going to make the mistake to lose them the game. I think the Jacks roll this weekend, Coach. I got South Dakota State 35-23 over North Dakota State at home this weekend, man. I think this is another big statement win for South Dakota State. And, Coach, like I said on the recap this week, Right now, I just don't see a team that's built to beat South Dakota State, especially at home right this second in the season.
Yeah, it's going to take something happening, a big yard party the night before, all the kids sneak out to it. It's going to take something like that for them to get caught this Saturday. I just don't see it because they are a team to me that are totally locked into the mission at hand. And, I got it a little bit deeper than what you have. I have it in 35-17 range. But I also think that it could be much worse just because.
I think if North Dakota State doesn't significantly win the turnover battle, I have an extremely hard time seeing the Bison pulling off the upset. Now, if South Dakota State comes out there, throws some picks, has some uncharacteristic fumbles, I think North Dakota State's good enough to win this game. But I think it's going to come down to if South Dakota State plays their game, plays up to the potential. It's just this is a year that I just don't see them giving anyone the game. You're going to have to go force them into mistakes.
If they were catching a young South Dakota State team, then that would be something different. But these guys are seasoned. They've been to the fight. They're seasoned. I just don't see that, those guys getting caught in this type of game, especially with the way that the season's kind of unfolded for NDSU. I don't see them being over anxious and forcing themselves into mistakes and things like that. I don't see that. I'm kind of going with the 35-17, but could be worse.
Yeah. Coach, shifting over our secondary game of the week, man, then we'll get into our HBCU game of the week. Sacramento State on the road against number 4 Montana, number 7 versus number 4 this weekend. Coach, can the Hornets are 3-0 in the past 3 games against Montana? Coach, can the Hornets shock the Grizzlies at home this weekend?
Man, I think they can. And it's going to be a situation of where, like you just said with the other game, I think they've got to get some things to go their way, a couple bounces. But I think they also run the ball well enough. KB won't make the big mistake in this game, although, his numbers say he's about 50%, in the turnover battle as far as throwing the interceptions, things like that. But I just think that, again, the home field gives, Montana the edge in this situation. And they need a win. They need a win. Now, I think they're the team that needs to win the most between, in this matchup. So I think, see Matt gets it done for his guys, but I think it's a close game. I think it's one of those 28-24 type situations. The team that has the most in the turnover battle is the team that comes up short in this situation.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This was probably the hardest game of the week to pick for me, just because I like Caden Bennett at quarterback. I think the fact that he can give you something through the air with his legs, he's explosive, and he just opens up a whole new level of this offense, because you got to think Sacramento State kind of utilized a 2 quarterback system over the past few years where they had a running quarterback, a passing quarterback. Caden Bennett is the perfect mix of this, and I think it's kind of stabilized his offense. I do think the rushing attack with the loss of Marcus Fulcher, it took a little while to find its rhythm, but they got 200 plus yards in back-to-back games. It will just come down to the defense has played well under head coach Andy Thompson. Can they force Montana to throw the ball? If you can make Montana one-dimensional, they become very beatable very fast. And I'm interested to see the offensive approach for Montana, because, Coach, I don't know if you saw today, the head coach over at Montana, man, 2 quarterback system. He said the plan all year has been a 2 quarterback system, and they started a true freshman last week. And there's a lot of rumors that McDowell and this true freshman are going to be a 2 quarterback system. If you take away the run, that's not going to work. You're going to have to commit to one of these quarterbacks to throw the football. And a true freshman versus this defense with this type of secondary, Cameron Broussard, Dylan Juniel, this secondary can take the ball away fast. They're stingy, they're fast, they're athletic, they're experienced. I don't like this true freshman throwing against this defense. If it's a QB rotation and Montana struggles to run the football, this game gets real interesting really fast.
I just don't think this is the time of the year to just say that this is what we're going to do, especially when you're trying to make that run. Because like you said, this could throw off everything that you've kind of gotten to this point. Okay, both guys have numbers, but C-Mac is giving you the best throughout the season. I think you've got to hone in right now and say this is, like you said, this gives us the best chance to continue to win. We know we have a guy that we can put in if something happens, if we start to stall out, then we can go to that. But, you know, we've been saying it all year about 2 quarterback offenses. It's tough.
I feel you. I mean, Eli Gilman is the X factor for me. If he can run the football, Montana could win this game. And also, I'm interested to see my matchup to watch, Coach. Montana has been dominant against the run. 75 yards per game, 2.6 yards per carry for the season. Does Caden Bennett's ability to run the football in unconventional ways spark the rushing attack? Because they've run for 200 plus yards in back-to-back games. Can Bennett's legs open up some opportunities? Because the Grizz have held the past 4 opponents, Coach, to under 80 yards rushing. Sac State has to establish the run, and that's the key. I think Bennett's legs are the biggest factor in this game for Sacramento State.
And the other key factor, the Grizz, if they come out the way they came out in the first half at Idaho, I think they, can pretty much establish enough distance between the two to hold on at the end. If they come out the way they came out in the second half, like you said, KB and that offense can make things very difficult for them. And the longer you let them hang around, the more opportunities for him to make plays with his legs that, come back and bite you, because he's that type of guy.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win. I mean, not a must-win because both of these teams are probably in the playoffs, but this is a must-win in terms of seeding for the playoffs, and also if these teams want to compete for the Big Sky Championship. Coach, I'm nervous to pick Montana because of that 2 QB system, but I do think they have the advantage in the trenches right now, and they're at home. And if I'm so torn on a game, especially because of the home field advantage that is that stadium, that is Missoula right now, and it's a night game, man, give me Montana in a really close one, Coach. I think this is what's going to happen. The defense is going to force a turnover to win the game. I really think that it's going to be a late turnover. This Montana defense has excelled at forcing turnovers. Give me Montana 23-20 on Saturday night over the Hornets.
Tickets as low as $10 is what I'm hearing.
Hey, it's going to be cold too. You know how it is. 7 p.m. kickoff in Montana in November. Oh, it's going to be freezing up there.
Sac State. Ooh, man.
Yeah, it's a lot different in Sacramento. It don't get that cold in Sacramento.
Man. And the home team has the advantage in this situation, no doubt about it. I'm with you. I'm going with the home team, no doubt. Just because they're home, the weather. If they show up defensively early like they did in Idaho, they'll give themselves plenty of room and enough cushion to get that done.
I like it, man. Just making sure we got these picks down, Coach. So, listen, I've already got your pick written down for this one, but we had to at least talk about it, and we have a unique opportunity now that we don't even have to bring a guest on. Who knows more about the Alcorn State Braves than my guy, Coach Fred, because he's on the staff right now. Coach, obvious HBCU game of the week. There wasn't even a close second option. Just as much as you can, man, give me your thoughts on this game without, giving away any crucial things that are going to be keys to victory this weekend.
Well, it's the obvious things that are key. We got to win the turnover battle. You have to handle the first 5-10 minutes of the ball game. Senior day, a lot of emotion. A lot of things going on. It's going to be an electric environment starting tomorrow. So, the team that handles that the best earliest will be the team that, gets a leg up. But, for us, it's making sure that we give ourselves an opportunity to play football in the fourth quarter. And that's not turning over the ball. That's being smart. Just giving yourself an opportunity. And, forcing them into some things that they don't like to do. which everybody wants to do, but can you do it? And I think that's just kind of where we are, and then we just got to be able to find our matchups and work them. So, very good run game. They have a very good running back room. And we know how those timing rules go, so we can't come out, slow start, spot those guys any points and try to play catch up. Just want to be able to play even and kind of go from there. So that's about as bland as I can give it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think here's what I'm looking at, Coach. One, what is Southern's offense going to look like? Because there had to be changes. Like you can't go out and perform like you did last week and not change anything. So did the play calling change? Are you looking at just a different approach to it, a different play split, a different quarterback, you got to change something up. I think Kendrick Rhymes, Coach, you just spoke about it, has been electric at running back, over 400 yards this season, averaging like 6 yards per carry. But Southern's defense has to come to play, and I'm interested to see what the approach is early, because you mentioned it's tough to stop a team that can do both. Do you stop Aaron, who's been really hot recently, or do you go and what Jarvion can do on the ground? Do you focus on stopping Agent Zero? What do you take away first? Because you're going to have to take away something first early in the game. And then the other thing is Southern's defense is best when they get pressure. Can they get pressure on the quarterback? It's going to be a huge battle along the trenches. And that's same for Alcorn State's defense, because I think when you look at Texas Southern, the secondary has been lackluster, and Southern wasn't able to take advantage of it. And the one thing that scares me, Coach, and I know I know you're going to smile when I say it, the fact that Alcorn State secondary can force turnovers like they do, and you have an inconsistent passing attack, to me, is a recipe for disaster.
Well, let's hope that comes to the thing that's always, scary coming in matchups like this, because of the way they did play last week. How do they rebound? What happened this week at practice? And like you said, it's the unknown. You don't know until that first thing is kicked off, and then you kind of see who comes out there defensively. Then you kind of see who comes out there offensively. And then, you kind of make plans and adjust accordingly. But it'll be interesting, man. The cat and mouse, the RV lot has already started to fill up. So, whose kids are going to be able to handle it the quickest and then be able to get in to settle in and play football. So, hopefully that's the good guys, and, we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think this is a big game, especially, depending on how Southern plays it, because of how big of a day Texas Southern had on the ground. I know Jarvion's got to be smiling right now, because the opportunity is there to have a big day, especially if Aaron gets cooking early. Because, Coach, you remember last year, you guys missed some shots early, and it kind of hurt the offensive rhythm. There were a few overthrows, missed opportunities, drop passes, an early turnover, and it's like you guys could never get back in that rhythm. Hitting those early changes the game. And I think if you guys can start fast, especially at home, because you know this, I've been at the stadium when y'all have won and when y'all have lost. It's different when you hear that crowd doing the brave chant, the band's going, and that team can feel the energy in that stadium shifting, and it's not a good place to be if you're the opposing team.
And we've talked about it. They know what's at stake. The crazy thing about it is, we stumble, we don't come up with it, we're not dead. We win it. They're not giving us a trophy tomorrow. That after the game, there's still more football to be played. So, Coach has preached that message. It's not all or nothing, but it's pretty much all. And it's kind of where we are with it mindset wise. So, hopefully the kids handle senior day, handle the crowd, man, and we come back on this thing Monday, and I've got a cigar, and we're gonna light up and smoke that victory right here on air.
I love it, man. So we already know Coach, one, can't make a prediction, and two, even if he could, it was going to be Alcorn State. But I'm going with Alcorn State too, man. It'll be in my article I drop tomorrow on SI Fan Nation. My thing is, you cannot be one-dimensional against a good defense. I think Alcorn's going to load the box, make Southern beat them through the air, and I just think Harold Blood's going to make too many mistakes to win this game on the road. So give me Alcorn State. Oh, I don't have a score yet. I like Alcorn State 28, Southern 16 this weekend on the reservation.
I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna take it twice on Saturday.
I had a feeling. And Edwin, I understand why Josh said this. I get it. I listen, Coach has played before, I've played before, Josh has played before. I promise you, there's moments in the game you don't hear the band, you don't hear the fans, you don't hear all the atmosphere. You feel that type of stuff though, especially when you struggle. When you're up on the road, you don't hear none of that. You're in that kind of flow state. But coach, me and you both know when stuff's going the wrong way on the road, you start feeling that other extra stuff.
Oh, momentum's real. And it changes at the drop of a hat. Momentum is real, and it changes at the drop of a hat. You know, as a player, during the play, no. As soon as that play's over and you get up, yeah, of course you hear it. Now, can you channel all that and get right back into the next play? And I think that's the trick. I think that's what a lot of guys have to be able to, I won't say master, but have to be able to get in a rhythm and have an understanding. Can never get too high, can never get too low. I just caught a 30-yard pass. I signal first down. Guess what's happening now? We're on to the next play, so we got to go. So, yeah, you hear it. I just think at times it does turn off, but it does come on, and momentum is really, really real.
I've always wanted to ask, before we get to pick 'em, coach, it's unique to have you on the show all the time. Coaches have different approaches, and we know what Coach Mac's personality is. Very, very even keeled, never too high, never too low. He's himself. How much do y'all monitor y'all's guys' celebrations during the game? Because I see some teams, they got it all organized. It's over the top. They got it all planned down. And other teams, look, Davius Richard, I don't think I've ever seen a fist bump from that kid. So we know what his approach is. But for you guys as a staff, how do you guys monitor the celebrations at all? Or y'all just kind of let the guys do their thing?
Do your thing. Just know when that line is. You know where that line is. You know, do what you do. But the minute you see that guy reach for that flat, it's over. You know, for those 3-5 seconds, live in that moment. If it's one of those situations where it's a turnover, get to the sideline behind us. We could care less what you do. But on the field, know where the line is. Hey, live in the moment. But as soon as he goes to reach, it's over with. That kind of thing. Because if you get a 15, you got to walk past that guy with the shades on, with the bald head, who's looking at you. You got to walk past him, and I can't do anything for you at that point. So, you know where the line is. Know where the line is.
You said, listen, man, I can't save y'all from Big Fred. It's over for y'all with that 15.
Nah, I mean, and I felt bad because one game, true story, we talked all week about it. Like, man, have fun. Hey, if I don't see a celebration, you know, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue. And the celebration went a little too far. Got a 15-yarder. Unsportsmanlike, of course. They didn't take it on the extra point. They did it on the kickoff. And I felt bad because I knew what was about to happen. But I just kind of walked to the bench and waited on the kid to come. I let him take that walk by himself. And then when he got over there, we just looked at each other and laughed because he knew, I knew, but I mean, I'll straighten that out in Sunday's meeting, just not right now. So they know.
Oh man, I love it. Listen, man, the defensive line last year, Malachi and those guys, they had some of the best celebrations. Like that. I don't know if it was Malachi that did. I think Malachi did the belly rub. One of the D linemen like made like a whole thing and like threw it up in the air and then did like it was masterful. I loved it.
Get it done quick, man. No, you got 3-5 seconds.
I love it, man. Coach, let's get to these pick'ems, man. Then we'll get to the end of the show, man. Final takeaways. Coach, we'll start here, man. We talked about this game a little bit earlier. SoCon on the line this weekend. Number 2 Furman going on the road to take on Chattanooga, man. Do the Paladins clinch the 15th SoCon title in school history this weekend?
Man, I'm usually with home team in this situation, but you know, Furman, I got to go with them. I think they continue to put their stamp on this thing, and I think it's gotten to a point to where everybody's kind of expecting it. Not that UTC is going to roll over, but I just think Furman takes this one.
Yeah, I think this is a beautiful offensive defensive line matchup on both sides because of the size and physicality of these two teams. I'm interested to see how the rushing attack for Chattanooga handles that front seven for Furman because they've had the advantage every single week. Coach, there's just something about Furman. I doubted them against Western Carolina, but it's just like when they play good teams, they find that extra gear. It's like they're stuck in second or third against the teams that they should blow out, and they struggle. But then as soon as they get to that big game, they find a way to get to that high gear, turn on the turbo, and it's on from there. I like Tyler Huff. His experience on the road is enough to get it done. Coach, give me Furman, a low-scoring physical battle, 24-17 this weekend on the road. Coach, moving on here, number 9 South Dakota at number 10 Southern Illinois, another top 10 matchup this week. Coach, it's a big weekend across the FCS. Who gets it done in a crucial MVFC matchup, a potential seed eliminator matchup this weekend?
Man, I'm going to actually, and you may take it as the upset, but I'm taking the home team. I feel like they are, right there. And like you said, I think this is one that they've got to have in order to get in. Not so much for, South Dakota, but I think for, the Salukis, I think they've got to have it. I think MB holds it in the middle of the road at home and does just enough offensively to help his defense out. And I think they pull this one off at the house. I have it in a close ball game.
I'm with you. It's like almost you read the article I've already got pre-written for tomorrow because that's who I went with, man. I'm going with the Salukis upset 34-27. Coach, the return of Roe Elliott is the key. They get their leading rusher back for Southern Illinois. When you already look at all the weapons with Isaiah Hartrop, with Vincent Davis, with how well that offense is clicking, and on top of that, they've excelled at creating negative plays. I think it's going to cause issue for South Dakota because they're 6-0 in rushing for 100 yards. But they're going to have to put up a lot of points this weekend, I think, to win it, especially on the road. It's going to be tough. Give me the Salukis, man, and with a 7-point victory. Coach, shifting over to the CAA real quick. Number 24, William and Mary at number 23, U Albany in a CAA eliminator matchup, potentially for even the playoffs. Does the Tribe get back on track, or do the Danes keep the momentum rolling?
I got to go with U Albany, man. I think they can score. And I think William and Mary is going to have problems keeping up with them scoring, even though we know about, William and Mary's defense. We know you love those guys, the whole nine. But I just think that U Albany gets a couple strikes early, able to hold on, and they can score. I just don't think William and Mary can keep pace scoring. So I think they kind of pull away with this one, 14-point type victory. Just because they can score better than William and Mary.
The best defensive line matchup of the weekend. You got Nate Lynn, John Pius, both 10+ tackles for loss, 7.5 or more sacks. And then you got Anton Junkai and AJ Simon on the other side, both 14 tackles for loss this year, Coach, and 8+ sacks. It's going to come down to who can protect the quarterback. I like Poffenbarger in this matchup over Darius Wilson. And I also think it's kind of been lost. This U Albany offense has been able to be explosive week in and week out, both on the ground and through the air. I think they can get it done at home, Coach. If this was on the road, I'd go upset, but because they're at home, give me U Albany 24-21 in a close battle. Coach, sticking in the CAA, Elon at number 5, Delaware. Do the Blue Hens keep it rolling and clinch the CAA?
I like the Blue Hens. Elon let me down a couple weeks ago, but I just think Delaware is rolling right now. I think their pass game has started to complement the run game at the right time. I just think that the home team in this situation, with RO controlling the situation, for the Blue Hens, I think they do just enough to get this. And again, I want to say this will be a 14-point type victory for them at home. Elon, at this point, I think is just playing to finish it out. Nothing against them, but I just don't think that they can muster up enough to get this one and get the rest to even get into playoff contention, so to speak. So Delaware has a lot more to play for. So I'm going with the Blue Hens in this situation.
Yeah, these are two teams that I think are kind of trending in completely different directions. You got Delaware trending massively upwards. Elon's kind of been inconsistent. I think Marcus Yarns has played himself into Walter Payton consideration as a running back. That offense is there, especially at home in front of that crowd. They're probably going to sell it out. Man, give me Delaware. I think they win this one convincingly, Coach. Southland game of the week, Coach. Nicholls State at number 8 Incarnate Word. If I'm not mistaken, Incarnate Word clinches up the Southland this weekend with a win. Both these teams undefeated in conference play due to the Northwestern State cancellations and forfeit wins. Coach, does Incarnate Word clinch the Southland for another year?
Yes.
Just
yeah, it's team. At home, I think they do it with their quarterback and their running back. They play with so much confidence, man, that I just think that this one here could end up being a runaway, 21 or better type fashion. So, they wrap it up again, man, tomorrow. 8-1 by time on Saturday.
I'm with you. Defense too good. Nicholls State offense has been a little bit inconsistent. I think at home, Incarnate Word's your role. I like, regardless of what quarterback they put out there, Calzada's been banged up. The true freshman looks amazing. Won FCS Freshman of the Week 2 weeks ago. I just think they got too many weapons. They're too explosive. I like Incarnate Word big as well. Coach, final 2 games. Number 19, Austin Peay traveling to Eastern Kentucky. The UAC is chaos right now. Who knows who's going to win that conference? This is a crucial one. Do the Governors get this one done, or does Eastern Kentucky pull off the home upset?
I think a couple weeks ago this would have been an easy one, but I think with the recent things last couple weeks makes this a little bit tighter. But I still go with Austin Peay.
I'm with you on that one. I wanted to pick the upset on this one, Coach, but Austin Peay's has been too consistent on both sides of the football. I think Scotty Walden's going to have this team ready to go. They're going to have a chance to win the UAC, finally get back to the playoffs, and I think it's going to be a close one, though, Coach. I think this is one of those games that it could be a 1, 2, 3 point win. It's probably going to come down to who makes a mistake late, and I give the advantage to Austin Peay in that situation because Eastern Kentucky, Coach, has lost all their one-possession games, if I'm not mistaken. They have really struggled in one-possession games, especially through out-of-conference play. I do think it'll be close, though, but give me Austin Peay in that one. And, Coach, the Miles Crawley revenge game, we'll finish it off here. Grambling State versus Alabama State. Mobile, Alabama coming over to the 251 for this one. Coach, does Crawley get his revenge, or does E-Rob get the last laugh on Saturday afternoon?
Again, man, this is going to come down to which Bama State offense they want to roll out there. Do they roll out the offense where they let D. Stu throw it around the yard, or do they roll out the offense where they want to go ahead and they want to put the RPO world out there for Grambling to defend, which would not be a bad decision because of Grambling's inability to play the running quarterback. I just don't know what Alabama State is going to do. I think Crawley's going to have a big game. I think this has the potential to be a shootout just because. But at the end of the day, I think the home team pulls it out because they decide that, you know what, we're going to put the RPO game out there. Bama State has a hard time with running quarterbacks. Let's make them prove it that they can stop us. They couldn't stop the other Alabama school quarterback, so we're going to see if you can stop ours. So I'm going to go Alabama State. I'm going to put a score to it, man. I'm going to say this one's going to be around the 35-24 type range.
I like it. I'll be honest. I don't think it matters what quarterback Alabama State puts out there. I think the difference is that defense is good enough to force Crawley into some mistakes. You saw when Crawley went up a really good defense against Alcorn on the road, really struggled through multiple interceptions, had one of his worst games. Alabama State is too good of a defense for you to make those mistakes. Their secondary is rolling. Adrian Maddox, Mikey Victor have been balling out at the cornerback spot. I also think you got that bad man in the middle that for some reason no one can block. Colton Adams is going to have a day with that rushing attack. They're really good against the run. I know you know that because you played them. That they can shut down the run. And I think, because you know this, you're an offensive coach. if your offense is struggling, the number one cure for a bad offense is a bad defense. And that's what's going to happen this weekend. I think Alabama State's going to be able to put up points. Gramblin's going to make some mistakes on the road. If I would have picked this game, if it would have been before the Alcorn game, I would have went with Grambling big because those teams were in two different spots.
Yes.
Alabama State has so much momentum right now. Give me E-Rob and the Hornets, man. And I think, Coach, I think they pull away in this one. Give me Alabama State by 10-14 this weekend.
Okay. I'm with you. It does have that potential. It does.
Yeah.
And that would be, what, 3 in a row for Bama State?
Yeah, I believe so. Maybe 4 even.
Which
Man,
is
they're
crazy.
rolling. Hang on, let me pull up their schedule because they have found their rhythm. Let's see, they're 4-3. This would be the 4th straight win because they had Bethune after you guys.
Yeah.
So Bethune, Jackson, Alabama A&M, Grambling State this weekend. Then, Coach, they got 2 tough road games to end the year. Valley on the road will be tough. It's always tough to go play over there in the Delta. But if they can get past that one, they got PV on the road November 18th. And with how PV's been trending, that could be a win. And then you got Tuskegee coming in for the Turkey Day Classic. I mean, would it be out of the realm possibility to say that they potentially could be on a 7-game win streak to end the season?
Crazy.
7-3, Coach.
But it's real.
And the crazy part would be if Alabama State wins out and Jackson wins out, technically Alabama State would finish 2nd in that division because they beat Jackson. So Bama State, Coach, we were talking about firing E-Rob 2 weeks ago, and he's about to finish 2nd in the East if they win out.
Has an opportunity to finish 2nd. Yes, absolutely crazy. And it's a nice matchup, man. I'm just throwing this out. Cookman wins it.
Ooh, okay. I'm glad you said that because it's shout out to Terry in the chat. They've been asking about that matchup. Let me make sure I got the time and everything right. I want to make sure. Yeah, so Valley at Bethune tonight, ESPNU 6:30 p.m. Central. I don't want to. Okay, how do I say this nicely? SWAC.
This game.
Yeah, can we get so? Okay, if we want the brand of FCS SWAC football to continue to trend upward, we cannot put Valley Bethune on ESPNU in prime time.
No. There were so many other ways we could have went with this. Daytona on a Thursday night. I hope they show up. Bad. But I think Cookman wins this one, man. They've been playing really good on tape, following them guys. He's kept them playing hard. They've went through some injuries quarterback-wise. I just think this is one that they get. Their quarterback is back. I don't know if he's 100%, and this is one that they've got to have, if they want to get rolling before the Florida Classic. This is one that they've got to have. So I think this is one where they kind of right the ship and get it rolling in the right direction on television tonight. I'm going Cookman, man, by 2 scores.
Okay, so you got them covered. I think the line's 9.5.
Yeah. They cover.
You know what? We picked all the same teams this week. I'll differ. I'll go Valley tonight.
Are you gonna give it to me? Okay, I'll take it.
I'm gonna take Valley, man. I think. Listen, really and truly, I don't know why, but I like the quarterback. He's got some potential, especially against a team that doesn't have a really great defense. And I think, let's say Valley will force some turnovers. We'll go with that. I'll take Valley in a close one, Coach. And plus, I get 9.5. I love that. Give me almost 2 scores against Bethune. It's going to be an ugly game tonight, though. I have a feeling that's not going to be a pretty game.
I'm just glad it's turf and it's not raining. Man, I'm like you. This is not good. Hopefully it will be, but yeah.
I get, there's got to be an in between, right? Because I get not picking the best game for Thursday night. You can't put Alcorn State Southern on Thursday. That's got to be on Saturday. But Texas Southern Jackson wouldn't have been a better game to put on Thursday night, or FAMU A&M.
Yeah.
Like, I get not putting the big games, but Valley Bethune can't be your primetime slot.
There was other ways to get to this.
Yes. Well,
no disrespect, but I'm just saying there was other ways to get to this, man.
And I think the MEAC kind of got screwed because they put two good games on Thursday night. Like, in the preseason, Central South Carolina State was supposed to be the game. It just happened that South Carolina State sucks this year.
Yeah, it looked really good, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it makes no sense. SWAC, we got to get that fixed. And I don't know how it works. If ESPN picks, that's nasty work that they picked that game for Thursday night.
So from the inside, so what's happened to us in past years, we'll get the call this week saying that they want to move the game next week to Thursday night for an ESPN matchup. So it's not like they did this before the season. So we've played, for a couple years straight, we played Pine Bluff on Thursday night and, found out the week before that this is what was going to go on. And, we take the opportunity and we run with it. But I just don't know if you can't tell me no other teams would have picked up the phone and said, hey, we'll do it just because.
It makes no sense. I don't know. And that kind of pisses me off even more for you and your team, because if Texas Southern couldn't play on Saturday, why couldn't we flex that to a Thursday night ESPNU matchup?
That part. Because of the soccer, I understand Friday walkthroughs for the two soccer teams. I understand that. But Thursday would have been a go-to. That's above my pay grade, but I just understand why that couldn't have been switched as well. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. Don't love that. Do better, ESPNU or ESPN and the SWAC, because we got to get on Thursday night games for the SWAC have been UAPB and Alabama A&M and Bethune and Valley, if I'm not mistaken. Those have been the two.
Yep.
That can't happen. I don't care. That can't happen. There's no way that those are the matchups you wanted to have on a Thursday. But Coach, man, before we get way off track here talking about TV contracts and all that, Coach, man, good luck this weekend. It's going to be a big one. Well, listen, guys, we'll have something for after this game. Well, me and Coach will talk, man, because especially with behind a win. Listen, if it's a loss, you'll catch us on Monday at 4:30. If it's a win, we might have something coming down the pipeline, man. We'll let you guys know. But guys, make sure to go follow us on social media right there. At the _coach_ Fred, at Zach McKinnell, at the _Bluebloods on both social media. Check out the SI site, si.com/college/FCS. But guys, for Coach Fred, for myself, for the Bluebloods and FCS Football Central, we are out for right now.